Hello everybody and welcome back. I got this generator about a week ago and it arrived here from an eBay seller where it was advertised as box opened, may have slight signs of use. And yeah, it is quite a nice little generator. Well, it's not that little, but it got here and when I checked it, it did have gas in the tank. The fuel shutoff was open, and when I checked the oil, I just got a gush of pretty badly smelling oil. So I suppose most of what was in the tank is now in the crankcase. So we're just gonna rip into it and have a look if we can flush this out and see if it works then. I haven't started it yet, I won't, because with the oil being so diluted, let's not do it. It's quite a nice device. Let's have a look at the front. It is actually advertised as having 1880 watts maximum with a sustained load of 1700 watts. It's got an inverter, so it's good for using computer equipment, phone chargers, and stuff that will usually not like it if it gets, well, let's say not so clean voltage. And yeah, I was pretty impressed. It appears that the company that makes these metrics is advertising this as being made in Japan with German engineering, so we'll see inside if it holds up to that. I like this device because it's, well, pretty compact and it is all closed. You don't really have to worry about anything getting in there, but on the other hand, once you have a mouse nest or something in there, it's just going to stay there and you're not going to know. So it's kind of a combination of being simple and ingenious all by itself. They made, let's see if we can catch this. So looking in here, you can see the fuel shutoff valve right on the left here with the carburetor over here. The way this is built means that it doesn't need a fuel pump, which is, I suppose, good because it removes complexity, but it also means that you can't operate this device at an angle, and it will run out of fuel once the fuel gets too low to flow into the carburetor. The rest is pretty cleaned up. There is a oil drain where the check valve is. Well, let's get you in here, which is right here. They put a big hole in the case, so once you open this, you can just tip it to drain all the oil. And the further you drip it, the more oil you're gonna get onto the hole in the case, which is kind of an odd thing to do. This here appears to be, oh, this here is the fuel dump. So it does have a drain valve on the bottom of the carburetor where you can drain the oil, which is a good thing. And but it's just going to drain right into the case. I suppose you're supposed to put something under there. Yeah, that's not bad. The bad thing about this arrangement with the drain valve being part of the switch and everything is you can't really run the carburetor empty. You can turn the fuel off and leave it running, but there's no guarantee that you will have it run till it's all the way to the bottom. And even if you drain the bulb by the drain valve, there will still be something in there, and well, fuel just turns into gel after some time, and since we all have fuel with ethanol in it, you're gonna have a small accumulation of water in there, so after some time you need to open this up and just get all of the water out, which is, I suppose you can get to this. It's not as bad as it could be. Still, it's a very compact little generator. I hope that is really quiet. It does have a rather large muffler on it, so let's get the oil out of here and replace it with something that is slightly better, and see, well, if she comes back. So here we go. Let's see how much we're going to get out of you. So I already dumped about 150 milliliters out of here. The oil doesn't look bad, but it doesn't look good either. It's got a real milky shine to it, which I don't like at all. But I wouldn't see how water could have gotten in there, so I suppose it's just diluted from the fuel that went in there and just went milky. Well, there's a lot coming out of there. So there should be 350 milliliters in there, and I'm way past the half-liter mark right now. Wow, that's a lot. Yeah, that is what happens. If this thing gets moved around and the fuel shutoff, well, isn't in the shutoff position, you're just going to get fuel sloshing through the carburetor into the, well, it travels through the carburetor into the intake, and if the valves are opened or it gets any way of going through there, it's just going to dump the fuel everywhere. And even with the piston rings, it goes past them after some time and then gets into the crankcase. This thing smelled pretty bad, so I'm going to try and open the air filter too and see if there's anything in there. So in the end, I removed about 300 milliliters. Oh, that's wrong. I removed about 750 milliliters of oil fuel mix from the crankcase, which is way too much. And I'm now going to add some cheap old oil just to flush this out, and to just make sure that if I flush this, I take all the rest of the fuel that is in there out of there, because it's just going to boil away through the into the crankcase, but I don't want that happening so much. So we'll just add about 300 milliliters, because I'm not sure if I got everything out okay. And I was right about that hole on the bottom of the generator. It just kind of makes sure that you get most of the oil accumulating on the bottom of it. It was a real mess. So 350 milliliters of oil is the recommended filling, and you can then check with a flashlight or a dipstick. It should be accumulating right under the throat. I also took the spark plug out and I dribbled some oil in there just to make sure that we don't ruin the wipers. So here we go. Didn't get any overflowing, so I'm pretty confident that I got most of the contaminated oil out of it. Oh yeah, and it's nicely filled up. So let's put this back in there and just give her a few tugs so this oil can slosh around and pick up whatever is left of the fuel that is somewhere in there. Make sure that it's off. Yes, it's off. Oh, here we go. Oh yeah, and compression is coming back. The first few times that I pulled it, I had almost no compression at all. Yeah, that's a lot. Oh yeah, that's a lot better now. Okay. So checking the air filter. That screw wasn't in all the way. No signs of fuel in here, which is good. Oh, it's just one of these really cheap air filters. The material is still kind of springy. Oh, but it smells. Yeah, smells like bad gas. So it did get some in there, but it didn't leave any stains, which is fine. If there's too much gas going towards this foam material, the foam will actually deteriorate to the point where it just falls apart. You can just squish it and it won't come back, which is a good sign of the right time to replace it. But like I said, this generator is new. It's just been, well, probably misused at some shop. Okay, so let's give it a tug and see if she fires. So, fuel to on. Operate switch to on. Econ switch to off. Choke on. And pull. Oh, she wants to go. Oh, that is nice and quiet. Wow. Well, I'd say she's running. She's a runner. Wow. That little bit of smoke at the beginning was the oil that I just put in there. Nice. Really nice. And it's not that loud. Choke in, econ switch to on. Yeah, I'm really happy with that. Oil is okay, AC is on, no overload. All right. Fuel switch to off. Let's see if we can run her out. Yeah, she stays running, so you can actually empty the carburetor bowl by having it run on the closed fuel switch. Like that. Yeah. So it wasn't broken. So I'm going to take it behind the house and let it run for about 10 minutes, and then I'm going to change the oil once it's warmed up and absorbed all the goodness in there. So this is it running idle. It's quite nice. It's not loud at all. Comparably, it is. I think it's about as good as my Honda. Maybe even a little bit better. It has a really strong smell of gas right around it. But I suppose that's just going to have to work through it. So, yeah, feature-wise, it does have 2 plugs. It has 12-volt charging. Nothing apart from that. It does have a dedicated grounding pin, which is kind of cool if you have a bigger installation. It has, I think, about 6 liters of fuel, and it's supposed to run up to 6.5 hours on that or so. Really a nice little thing. I quite like it. And it does have inverter technology. So it's not only a good runner, it's also good for expensive devices. It's not that other devices aren't good for computer chargers or phone chargers, it's just that if you have very high voltage peaks on the line, it will just kill the device because they're basically running on DC. And if they get high voltage spikes, it just puts too much stress on the primary side capacitors of a charger, and that kills them, understandably. So, right. So it was misused, but it wasn't destroyed. I like that. And for all of you who are really interested in the specs right now, this here's the type sheet on the device. So it is a PG2000i from Matrix, and I still believe it's some sort of Chinese OEM, but it appears to be quite well built and really silent. And at about 300 to 400 euros, you can't complain about the price. So for those of you who got really interested in this right now, that's the spec. Kind of a neat device. We don't have that many power outages in Germany, so it is more or less important that we pack them away and make sure that they work the next time, because usually once you've had a power outage and the generator saved your life, the next thing that you're going to do is not being the cleaning up and putting it away safely. You're just going to store it, and 4 years later on the next power outage, it's just not going to run. But I kind of like this one. So it did have the time it needed to run. That oil should be slightly warm now. Yeah, nice. Yeah, we're just gonna take that out too. So it's had the chance to get rid of all the fuel, and it has some new oil. And we're gonna do a second oil change, and let's hope that makes it survive a bit longer. The oil looks better now. Well, it's only 5 minutes in there, but still it does pick up a lot of color really quickly. Didn't have that before with my other generators. Yeah, let's just get this emptied out. And here we go. The final filling, 15W40, which is what they tell you to put in there. The one I used to flush it out was 10W30, but I might do an oil change in, I don't know, half a year or so, once it's gone through the winter. Let's just make sure we don't overfill it. Okay. So, all filled up, and oh yeah, it's absolutely perfect. Let's get it all buttoned up again, and we're done. Clean everything up. Yeah. Like nothing ever happened. Okay, this could have gotten worse. I was under the impression that I was gonna go out and buy a new fuel filter because I thought it would have gotten in there, but it didn't. Well, this is good. So there she is, that little Matrix 2000i, all ready to run again, and I think she'll do fine. So thanks for watching, and bye bye. Well, this wouldn't be a right video without giving her a victory tug. So here we go. Working. and working nice. Really nice. So there you have it. New open box, slightly spoiled and repaired Matrix 2000i. Haha. Let's run her empty and then we're done.